Hello everyone, welcome to our Internships 101 video, everything faculty need to know about internships. We're designing this video because we recently updated our internship process from being a paper process to being an online digital process, and that has some implications for the workflow of students as well as faculty working with them. So this video is really designed to touch on some of those topics and help introduce you guys a little bit to the new process as well as some of the new resources available to help students in navigating it. So in this video today, I'm really going to cover sort of two different parts. The first part is really focused on talking about what's new in this process. So we're going to do a general process overview. We'll talk about some of the changes and some of the forms that come along with that and what those look like. And we'll also talk about what the student step-by-step process looks like, as well as what the faculty step-by-step looks like in assisting a student. Again, this front end is really focused at kind of giving a big picture overview and focusing in on the things that have changed from how it used to be to the current process. In part two, I'm going to delve a little bit deeper into just some of our general internship logistics, talking about things like student or provider eligibility, insurance requirements, job search resources, all those. Most of these things have not changed from our previous paper process. They remain the same. The only thing that's really changed is sort of the application system in which we're processing these. So, if you're just watching this video because you just want to learn what's new, you can probably tune out after part one. If you're new to CW internships altogether, or just wanted to get a review of some of the basic eligibility requirements and details surrounding the internship process, then I'd encourage you to stay on for part two and watch that as we get a little bit deeper into those. So as a nutshell, the new process basically boils down to three significant steps. The first step is an information collection stage. The students sort of expected to go out, gather information about their potential internship course, their faculty advisor, or their program. Traditionally, when we had a paper application, the student could then just take that application to the department, sit down with their faculty, and fill it out. There's a lot of advantages to doing an online application. However, one of the challenges are it makes it a little bit harder for students to sit down with faculty and fill it out since they won't always have a computer to do so. So to solve this, we've provided two different sort of avenues that students can do to collect that information. The first are for programs that have program-specific details. For instance, programs that always have the same learning objectives or that always have the same assignments for student internships. For those programs, we've created a series of PDF guides on a website, and we tell students to first check this list to see if their program is listed. If they see their program, they can click on the guide there, and that would kind of give them a cheat sheet they can use when filling out their internship application. It would include information like the course prefix they need, the name of their program chair, the name and email of the dean of their college, as well as some details about the assignments that would be required for their internship or the specific learning objectives that they should outline. Now, only a small portion of our programs here on campus predefine goals. In most cases, students are encouraged to sort of create these goals by working with their faculty or their internship provider. In these case-by-case instances, what we've provided is what we call an academic requirements worksheet. This is a downloadable worksheet students will have access to at various forms in the process on the website and in the application. And really what this is a sheet that they can download to take to their faculty member and obtain that information that they might not readily have available. Again, things like learning objectives, assignments, or the course details. So at this stage, students will either use a pre-filled guide as a reference sheet, or they'll be given an academic worksheet that they can then take to their faculty member to work through these types of questions. So once a student has collected that information, either from a guide or from a sheet, they then log into an application portal in the Wildcat Career Network. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the system, Wildcat Career Network is a career portal that all students have an account for. They automatically can log in, and they'll log in through their MyCW account. I'll show you that in just one moment. But basically, this system is a place that they can go to find career advice, to look for different job leads, or in this case, to complete their internship application. So with the information they've collected from their department on the worksheet or in the guide, they would then fill out the online application, providing their information as well as the program-specific details they have. Once that's reviewed and approved by the Career Services Office, we would then create a DocuSign learning agreement. And this learning agreement will be emailed to the student, then to the faculty, then to the chair. Each person on the chain will review the email and sign off on it. If during that process anybody notices that there's any discrepancies or revisions that are needed, they can decline to sign the digital agreement and write in a small box explaining the reason that they would like revisions or the things that need to happen before the student resubmits. So we're going to unpack each of these three a little bit further. So the first is process collection, information collection. So again, there's several things that students might not always have readily available to them. In particular, the academic requirements of internships are things that students generally need to obtain from their department or their internship faculty advisor. These are things like course details, department details, the assignments, the learning objectives, or the learning activities. There are two primary ways in which students are going to do this under the new process. The first is, well, option A here is actually the worksheet you see on the right. This is a downloadable Word document that they can find on the website. It's also linked in the application. Faculty who work with students often could often print off the sheet as well to have it readily available. And really what this is it's sort of a distilled version of the application that pulls out just the things that the student needs to work with the faculty to obtain the information. So again, that's things like the course details, the academic assignments, or the learning objectives. So the student can take this printable form to the faculty, sit down, work through these different things to obtain this information, then return to the online application later and input all these fields. The other option is for programs that have predefined objectives, they'll be linked to a list of those options. You could download the appropriate guide, and that guide would have all of this information pre-filled in for you. And actually, just to demonstrate that a little further, I'll pull up the website here. So this is the Career Services website. We're going to revisit this, but you could go into Internships. We could scroll down to the Academic Requirements section. And what you'll find here is a list of the program-specific guides that are available, as well as a link to the general worksheet or some tips for creating learning objectives. And just to show you what one of these program guides look like, these would generally be guides that are a PDF version of the application form that provide specific instructions for each step. So if there are specific things that your students in your program should always list in there, this is a great avenue to provide those or to provide additional guidance that better suits your audience. So again, this is the step one, the collection process. Step two is the actual application. Once the student has collected the information, they would log in to Wildcat Career Network. They do this by logging into their My CWU portal, which is this upper image I have here on number 1. And on the upper right, there will be a link to Wildcat Career Network. Once they click that little link there, it will take them to the image you see number 2. On their Wildcat Career Network dashboard, there will be a left panel that has all of these icons and options. Once they select the cooperative internship option, they will see the form that appears here in the bottom as section number 3. In that section, they can then go in there, click Add New, and fill out their application, or they can edit an existing application they have that may be pending review or hasn't yet been submitted. Once an application is received, it's reviewed by the Career Services Office. We do a series of checks on them, including an exclusion check. We verify they meet the GPA requirements. We make sure that they're not exceeding units. We ensure that they haven't used up their allotment of internship credits, and check various other aspects of eligibility requirements and qualifications to make sure that the student is aware of any implications it might have on their financial aid, registration, or other details like that. After that's been completed, assuming everything looks good and we approve the student's application, we would then create a DocuSign learning agreement. This is a contract agreement similar to the learning agreement we've used in the past. It'll be emailed to each of the recipients in order one by one, and when one recipient signs, it'll automatically be routed to the next. Again, this goes from the student to the faculty, to the chair, to the employer, to the dean, and then finally to Career Services. Here we have the images. The first image, number 1 here, shows what the email would look like. It'll say DocuSign, and it will have a review document button. There'll also be messaging underneath it that will be targeted depending on the audience. So students will see reminders of what their responsibilities are as students, faculty as faculty, and employers will get a notice from an employer perspective. Once they click Review Document, it'll open the image you see here in number 2. This is just the digital copy of the learning agreement. For those of you who've done the internship process in the past, this is very much the same form we've used, just in a digital format. All the information will be pre-filled in based on the information the student provided in the application. You simply need to look through the materials provided, and at the bottom, click the Sign button. The first time you use DocuSign, it'll ask you to create a signature by using your mouse. After that, you can just click Sign, and it will reuse the signature again and again. Once you have signed an agreement, it's automatically routed to the next person, so you don't need to worry about sending it to anybody else or anything afterwards. Once everybody has signed the agreement, you'll automatically receive a receipt copy for your records that has all the signatures that you can print off and store. So again, this is the contract process. So there's a couple of key resources that are good to know about as we delve into this process. The first is that we have updated our website to provide a wealth of additional information. Again, you can find that by going to the Career Services website at cwu.edu/career and clicking on our Internships button. Once in the Internships menu, you can find information broken down by students, employers, or faculty. And then within each of those audiences, you can find types of information as guides, trainings and liability insurance, academic requirements, pre-internship files. So most of the information you need to have broken down in a fairly manageable order here. That being said, the best place to point a student who's going through this process is going to be this full step-by-step guide, the first link. This guide actually provides detailed instructions for every step in the process. It can look a little daunting, but most of this information is unnecessary for most applicants. It's just there if they want to delve a little bit deeper or need that additional support resource. Students could work through this process one by one, and at each step, they'll find additional resources, links, or instructions to help them navigate that stage of the process. For students who want something they can print out to take with them, they can also click this downloadable version up here to get a checkbox version of this that outlines the same instructions. So again, the website is a great first place to send students. We've taken painstaking efforts to go through and update all the information on there and the outline details and resources for every step. The student step-by-step guide provides almost everything that they could need throughout the entire process as long as students follow the instructions provided. The application itself is housed in the Wildcat Career Network, and as I mentioned prior, they can access this via the link on their MyCW dashboard. The last thing to note here is the academic requirements section. This is for those program-specific guides or the worksheets we discussed prior. Students can find links to those in the application, or from the website, you can scroll down to the academic requirements section, click on one of the links there, and you'll find the list of program-specific guides I showed you earlier, as well as the link to the worksheet and the link to additional information on how to create learning objectives or activities. So just to recap really quickly, a student overview and then a faculty overview before we move to the second part of this presentation. This is sort of the full process for students. So for step one, students should check that they meet the eligibility requirements, both of the university and of the department. Step two, students should begin applying for roles that would match their potential industry or potential internship opportunities that they believe would be well suited for their major. Step three, once a student's found a potential opportunity, they should speak with their department to confirm that the internship location is appropriate and to identify a faculty advisor who can be their instructor for the internship course. Step four is only for certain students. So if you are a student who is doing an internship at a medical facility, or if you're doing an internship at a location that has an existing affiliation agreement, you may need to complete a pre-internship file. These are files with additional onboarding requirements that can include things like TB tests, immunization records, or other onboarding requirements that an employer has requested we verify. Again, not all students have to do this. On the application, the student will be asked if it's a medical internship. They'll also be asked to check a list to see if their company is listed. If they say yes to either of these things, meaning the internship is occurring in a medical setting or the internship is listed on our affiliation agreement website, the student will have to complete a pre-internship file. We'll talk about more of that in part 2 of this presentation. So for step 5, the student would then want to start working with their faculty advisor and their potential internship provider to begin creating the learning objectives and activities for their internship. Again, this should really outline what the student will be aiming to learn during their internship process and the specific steps or activities they'll be doing in order to meet that objective. At step 6, once the student has outlined the sort of general scheme and plan and objectives of their internship, they should then make sure that they've completed the required training and purchased the required liability insurance. All students are required to complete the sexual harassment prevention training at least once every 3 years, and all students seeking internships are required to purchase either medical or non-medical liability insurance, depending on the nature of the internship. These are fairly affordable. I believe our current insurance pricing at the time of this video are $9 for medical, or $9 for non-medical, and $12 for medical. After completing the trainings, the students can then submit their application. Once reviewed and approved, they would receive the agreement via DocuSign that they can then sign to send to the next person. Once everybody has signed off on the agreement and it has passed all the review process, Career Services will then register the student in their course and they may begin the internship. So from a faculty standpoint, this is actually a much easier process. From faculty, the first step is just encouraging students to make sure that they're aware of the internship requirements or how it would fit within their potential major or degree plan. The second step is really encouraging students to make sure that they know how to go out and search for internships. This can mean directing them to Career Services to work on their resume. It can mean helping them navigate potential job market challenges, or just giving them tips to better brand themselves in their desired industry or field. Once students sort of have an idea of where they want to go, faculty can really support students by pointing them to the online resources available. In particular, the website is a great starting resource, and the step-by-step guide demonstrated earlier can help walk students through the entire process. Once students have gone on there, they're familiarized themselves with the process and they've begun, they will eventually need to collect program-specific or course-specific information. This is when the student can either use the pre-designed program-specific guides on the website, or when students can download that worksheet to work with their faculty member and fill in this missing information. Once the student has that and has submitted, reviewed, and signed their agreement, the faculty member will also receive this agreement to review and sign. So that really wraps up part one, which is focused on the changes in the process, introducing you guys to the new online application system, the worksheet students can use as a downloadable tool, and the DocuSign email, which will serve as the final agreement. In part two, we're going to go over just some general internship details as you see outlined here. Again, most of this information has not changed from our previous process. So if you're already familiar with the internship process, please feel free to continue or to just continue watching the video. If you do want to delve a little bit deeper in, we're going to go through these topics here. So starting with eligibility requirements. In general, these are university sort of baseline eligibility requirements. Certain programs might have alternate requirements, so students should always check with their department just to make sure that there's not other requirements or restrictions they should be aware of. Also, these requirements are general guidelines. While our offices cannot approve an internship that doesn't meet these, with department approval, we can often override these and allow students to still do the internship as long as it's been approved by the department. So, what are these eligibility requirements? In general, a student needs to be in good academic standing, have no holds on their account, be working in a role that's related to their major, be overseen by a faculty advisor, and experiences they apply for must be current or future experiences. We can't apply credit to past experiences. There's also a minimum amount of credits that students are expected to have obtained before they can do an internship. For an exploratory internship, students are expected to have completed at least 45 credits towards their degree. For a standard internship, such as a 490, 590, or 690, students are expected to have completed at least 90 credits of their degree before starting the internship. There's also a minimum expectation in terms of credits completed at CWU. Students are expected to have completed at least 15 credits as a student at CWU before they take an internship. Again, these are all guidelines that can be waived with departmental authorization. Some other general limitations and rules are good to be aware of. The first is that credits are allocated as 1 credit for every 40 hours. Next, it should be noted that students are capped at how many internship credits they can take at any quarter. For a 290, they can only take 5 credits in a given quarter. For a 490, they can take 12, or for a 590 or 690, they can take 8. In addition to a quarterly cap, students are also capped at how many credits they can apply towards their degree. In general, this is 20, however, that can vary by program. In terms of financial aid or tuition, an internship course is treated just like any other course. And because of this, if students want to do an internship over summer and are expecting financial aid, they should be reminded that they'll have to complete a special financial aid application. Financial aid is not automatically distributed in the summer for students, so students depending on this will want to make sure to deal with this before they start their internship. As 2 final notes, credit will be assigned for the quarter in which the majority of hours are completed. Some internships will start earlier than a quarter or span later than a quarter. but generally, whatever a quarter or majority of the hours were completed is the quarter the credits would be enrolled for. Also, if students intend to do multiple internships in the same location or position, they will be expected to submit a different learning agreement for each quarter. We also ask that each of these learning agreements has new or enhanced objectives or activities to ensure that the experiences show perpetual growth and advancement rather than a repeat of the same position. Now, the system does make this a little easier for students. There is a copy application button, so students who've completed an internship once can copy that application and then just make minor revisions to it to save them some time through the application process. So what does an internship look like, or what would qualify as an internship? The reality is there's a very broad range of what can qualify as an internship as long as it's approved by both the department and the internship office. In general, the work or position needs to align with the student's area of study, and it needs to be at a level that's appropriate for their degree level. The internship hours can depend a lot on the credits taken. They can be full-time, part-time, or project-based roles. Students can work in paid or unpaid positions, and can be on campus or off campus. Internships can also be longer or shorter than a quarter, although it should be noted that internships that span outside of a standard quarter can have implications in terms of grading timelines or even financial aid. So if an internship is going to be outside of a standard quarter, the student should make sure to confirm that these are not issues in terms of their financial aid. So CWU Career Services offers a few different resources to help students finding internships. First and foremost, the Wildcat Career Network, that is the system where students will be submitting their application, is also a job board, and students can search for the internships posted there. Students are also generally encouraged to check in with their departments, as many departments have standing relationships with industry or may have past employers that they can refer students to. Students should also be encouraged to attend campus recruiting and career events. Many students think that career fairs are just for jobs, but in reality, many employers come to career fairs offering both positions and internship opportunities. So students should be encouraged to pop in at these opportunities and see if these employers are potentially offering opportunities. Also, a little known gem of career services is that we do keep what we call our past internship binder. Each quarter, we interview all the employers who hosted students, and we survey them to ask if they would be interested in hosting future students. If they say yes, we collect the information, curate it by major, and keep it in a binder here. Students can come into career services and look through the binder to see where other students in their major are doing internships, or to find potential warm contact leads they can reach out to try and build a bridge for a potential internship. Last of all, it's good to remind students that career services can help. Many students think career services is just for when you're graduating, but even just looking for basic internships or on-campus jobs, career services can help students write their resume, prepare their branding, practice their interviews, or really be best prepared to find that internship opportunity. As noted prior in this presentation, there are several internship academic requirements. Again, internships are a course, meaning there are assignments and objectives that are outlined with them that will need to be approved or defined by their faculty or program. As noted prior, this can be done via the Internship Academic Requirements webpage, which will list several program-specific guides or provide a general worksheet that students can use. Also, as noted prior, students are still required to complete the sexual harassment prevention training as well as to purchase liability insurance. The sexual harassment training is a video tutorial that is linked in the application or on the Career Services website. It is a short video followed by a short multiple choice quiz that will give students a certificate of completion once finished. This certificate of completion is valid for 3 years, so once a student has completed this step in the process, they won't have to do it again if they do another internship within that period. Students are also all required to purchase liability insurance. Again, the links for these are available on the Career Services website or in the application. Students doing internships in a medical or clinical setting will have to purchase a medical-specific liability insurance. Those doing internships in non-medical roles can purchase the non-medical insurance. It is worth noting that this insurance is valid from September to September on a set calendar. So students looking to do internships should be mindful of these dates to ensure that they're not purchasing it before it lapses. And again, several internships do require pre-internship files. If your internship is on the current affiliation agreement list, or if your internship is in a medical site, the student will likely need to complete one of these files. The way that process works is the student emails Career Services or fills out the initiation form, which prompts us to email them back and provide them the list of specific documents needed for that job site. They would then provide both Career Services and the employer with copies of these records, as well as have the HR representative from the company email the Career Services office to verify that all the onboarding steps have been complete. Finally, once the student has obtained all the required information and completed the training, they can complete their online application. They can do so by logging into the Wildcat Career Network via their MyCWU account, selecting the Cooperative Education Internship Program tab, then clicking Add New to begin a new application. It should be noted too that students can save a draft application while it's in progress, so they're welcome to begin working on this, pause it, work with their faculty as needed, then come back and fill in the missing information. If an application is reviewed and approved by our offices, we will then route it to DocuSign as a learning agreement. That learning agreement will be sent to the student for signatures. Once signed, it'll automatically go to the faculty. Once signed, it'll go to the chair, then dean, then employer, then dean, then internship office. At each step in this process, a reviewer can refuse to sign and provide feedback as to the revisions they would like to see. If an application is denied or revisions are requested, the student will receive an email notifying them of the reasons for the decision and outlining the revisions that will be needed before they can resubmit their application. And finally, this is just an image of the DocuSign agreement, just to round off at the end here. On the left is the email they receive. Again, it would look like this, and they could click Review Document to actually see the agreement. And below that would be messaging, depending on who's receiving it, that would be targeted to that audience. On the right is the learning agreement you would view once you click the Review Document button. This is the standard student learning agreement we've used, just in a digital format, and you can scroll to the bottom and click Sign to sign the agreement. Just as a reminder, students don't register themselves for internship credits. The Career Services Office will register students once they've completed this application process. It should be noted, however, that if students have a hold on their account, or if they will exceed 18 credits, we are unable to enroll them in their course until these issues have been resolved. So just finally to wrap up, again, the updated process is pretty straightforward. It boils down to 3 steps. The student collects the required information, either via a guide or a printable worksheet. The student then fills in that information on the application in Wildcat Career Network. Once approved and accepted, the student will then receive the agreement via a DocuSign email. If you guys have any additional questions about this process or would like more information, please feel free to contact us either at the General Career Services inbox at career@CWU, or you can contact Joanne Ryan, who is our internship coordinator. You can also contact Kelsey Chappelle, who's helping process some of our internship applications, or myself, Ian Morris, who helps with the technical elements of the application system. We appreciate your time and hope that you all enjoy the new process. Thank you.